Plaque. Beulah is unwrapping her new plaque, fired yesterday, of clay she found in the caves across the road, and formed on 4 tiles, linoleum, each 12 inches square, left over from her kitchen floor. Through the doorway, close by, Flo is singing. At the foot of the poplar, Beulah crouches, lifts Coke bottles, bricks, frees the corners, then quickly with a swoop, the plastic, slicing rainwater down the creases into roots and mud. She lets it dangle beside her as we both look down. It seems to be looking up at us. Oh, the difference between black and black, submitted to fire. Many-layered and shadowed, white wisps, smoky grays, gray blacks, Mars blacks. Creased, seared, scored, warped, smoked, shaped into ripples, rays, veils, eyes, wings. Fired by oak and coal and an old car tire. Fired by fear and dream and sorrow for the sister. Fired by design. The 4 sections fit together. The dark grooves between them intersect in the center. Eyes, yes. Slowly I make out 2, one in each of the upper sections, one huge pair focused on me, composed of bodies hanging together like squads of trapeze artists, writhing and interlaced on a rippling ground. Flo sings. Shall we gather by the river? The face absorbs me. I remember the glare on the plastic under the poplar, how repellent it felt to vision, not only water. How the clay absorbs water, absorbs vision. How she softens it and molds it with water, dips her fingers in water to crease and caress it, to stipple and score it with her damp toothpick. The beautiful river. How right Beulah is, thinks Jack, the lapsed poet. Our bodies are made of earth, molded of earth, still malleable. Part water, mainly water. Vision, too, flows through us, through the ducts of the eyes and down, into this earth she molds, to pour it in, to hold it in, to look back up at me now. As I look down on it, or them, on this 4 square one, on all these many bodies in one face, embedded in the fired, still smoky earth, hanging down or staring up with its fixed stare. One of many, one divided one. His eyes, the tip of the huge nose and the nostrils, split by the division, look all the more menacing for this. Minuscule, spidery arms interlace to form the eyes. Small faces overlap to form the pupils, which look up at us, all containing, all comprehending. The many strive to be one here, but I think none too happily. A pair of large bird-like figures flank him, The tall bird being on the right looks brotherly, friendly, the other menacing, monstrous. Flow hum shall we gather. We look down silently. After a few moments I begin to stir, dragging my feet, dragging my hands, trying to shape a thought with them, to float a thought out toward her on this craft of hers. Oh, Mammy, be watchful. There is a dark undercurrent in Beulah's work of apocalyptic violence and a countercurrent of compassion and gentleness, both of which may derive from the holiness tabernacle, as Flo's songs surely do. Both currents are strongly present here, and I feel the dark shadow here that came over the mountain when old man Asher was murdered by his son, and his daughter danced in his blood. Brethren! I bow over the plaque, cup the sides of his face in my hands, then rise and walk or dance around him, still shaping my thought, partly in celebration of the wonder, partly in place of the words which still won't come. Not so much of a dance as a jig of sorts. Beulah's amused. What are you doing now, Jack? Beulah. Oh, Beulah, you've drawn some strange birds here. Beulah gives me a mordant laugh. I give her back a long, questioning look. And what's he doing, this one, in the middle here, as I point down to him, then move away. I lean back against the poplar trunk, leaving her alone with it, or with him, there, in the center. Oh, Pappy! The first foundation was jasper, Flo cries. Jack, I can't answer your questions. I wish you could just look. I'm looking, but I like it when you talk about it. I can't talk it, Beulah mutters. This is my black one, come from the other one breaking up and the nightmares after. I reckon you could say, if you wanted to talk about it, that I was inspired by it breaking, and by all these other things, too, coming apart. Not just the plaques, Flo, Sadie. It hurt me so bad when I found it cracked, where the cat had jumped on it. I had dreams all night. I was lost somewhere in Food City. All my belongings. They were scattered all around like a pack of camels. Everything I ever cared for seemed like. I couldn't hold them together. It was all breaking up, and me too. The plaque, the refrigerator. The plaque that was going to pay for the refrigerator. Looked like it was all laying around in pieces here. And late Sunday, in the sale papers, they'd had a special on for a new super glue, Crazy Magic. So I thought maybe it'd work for my plaque. But they'd done run out, and they weren't giving rain checks. So I come back home and went to bed miserable. And I dreamed. I dreamed I was walking through the doors in Food City. I walked down one aisle after another, scrounging in the shelves for where somebody maybe left their crazy magic because they decided not to take it, and they just lay it up in some out-of-the-way place, like beside the baking soda. But while I was looking, I forgot where I was. And before I noted, the aisle turned into an alley, and the alley into a street, with the houses on either side set further and further back. Well, I'd gone on looking so hard for my crazy magic, I'd forgot where the door was. Everything was changed. Nothing was the same. And I knowed I was lost. Oh, help me, Jesus, child. Not everyone that says to me, Lord. The houses way back got bigger, till they were more like palaces, and I seen shadows moving back in there, behind the palaces, like the things of old. Armies with pennants and fountains and towers and knights and ladies in long gowns. We'll enter the kingdom. I went on this way and that way through the lanes, till I come to a big palace, and it was here where they did give out crazy magic at last, because at the gate this guardian knight on horseback led me through. He told me he was my great-great-grandfather Palmer that went with Boone on the trail of the lonesome pine. He reached down and patted me on the head, and he let me in, and the door opened on Food City again, almost. And there was the crazy magic. The display was a knight taller than me, of the thickness of heavy paper, with big letters coming out of his mouth. Recommended for the mind. And the streets of the city. I turned him over and read down his back where the print got smaller and smaller till I had to squint, and I wasn't sure I got it right when I got down near the bottom to where they said it was especially recommended for the family, but the price they'd stuck on it was way too high. So I looked this way and that, and I hid behind him, and I slipped my hand into the shelf, and I stole some. No! Yeah, Flo, I did. I stole me some, and I slipped it into my left shirt pocket. Then I remembered the way out, and I made myself into a very respectable someone. Oh, a pillar of the community. And I crept out of there, and into the car, and back up into the mountains. And I passed my broken plaque on the way in. And I touched a crack with that glue, and it broke in two. And then those two broke up into 2 or 3 more. And it kept on, till the pieces were small as sand. Oh yes, one drop did do it all. I tried to stop it. I tried to work it. But all I could do was run it through my fingers. I'd pick up one handful and then another pour out of my left shirt pocket. That's how it was. Oh, mercy! Oh! It flowed and it run, and it melted back into the mud. All the faces, the towers, until it was smooth as a pond. No! For the city! A muddy pond has no need of the sun. Then it was gone at last. But meanwhile, here come a new one, a very different one, and more to my liking. So I just put down what was in my dream. Beulah lights up, breathes deep, and points down through the smoke. Just a mist like this. Beulah moves her hand in overlapping circles down the plaque. A city film still covers it, and as she dabs at the noble wing, her fingertip darkens, smudged with dark ash. And this bird, it was trying to pull back a curtain, there with the edge, the feathers, like a hand, but clumsy-like, with the tip of its wing to draw back something made for a hand, trying to let light in, some kind of cover, a drape. Something was hiding the sun, every bit of sunlight that was trying to come in. This bird had been delegated to combat against this. He'd been sent to open the curtain, but it would kink. It would hold back the light that was trying to come in. It had soaked the light up. Mammy, they were full of eyes within. And he couldn't pull it away from the sun to let it shine in there. Oh, Beulah, the light of the body. That's all it was. Then all down here, she dabs at the menacing bird and a coil of tiny creatures, angels or demons, under his right wing. They were these things, like I'd made before, just killing each other and so on. Oh, Lord, Jack, I just held my head in my hand and done it. Beulah, squatting, bowed over the plaque, in the same position in which she made it, with her right forefinger tracing the outlines of the figures she'd molded a few days before, following her own path thoughtfully, tentatively. She drifts her finger over it, into the gaps between the clay ridges. Mammy, I seen him! Flo shouts suddenly and hums on. The 7 angels! And Beulah looks up, as if her attention were held by something just beyond its edge, invisible to me, searching, alien to it along its border, then passing over into it, remembering. Then, of course, the center of it was the center of all the evil, I guess. That wasn't in the dream. Then on the other side of it, this other bird, he come to be ferocious, and he was out to get me. That was in the dream. Sometimes I could see a flashing, a crazy sparkle, just parts of something, not a full, continuous dream. Just things glinting there, up at me, pieces like of a mirror. That's all I had to work with, just scraps like, to make it out of. Beulah runs her finger over the menacing bird. There was no way of getting away then. Each one stabbing the other. It was forevermore the same. And the huge one there in the middle was pleased with it all, I reckon. And the sun become black as sackcloth of hair. But it hurt me so much when the cat broke the old one. He was sitting there on the cupboard, and while we were talking it jumped on it again, and I heard it this time. It made a loud crack. No, Beulah. The first beast. Yes. Took wax paper and a soft rag and rubbed the other one. I said to Tricia, that's not a crack. It's just a rabble from the cloth. No, it ain't, Beulah, she said. And she was right, of course. But I had so much on my mind. I didn't take care of it like I should. And I felt so bad. Then it seemed like someone was always here, forever coming. And I didn't say nothing about it, and my feelings about it. Then I started on the other. I just had this jumbled dream on top of it all. But I wouldn't wake up. I didn't want to. I just drift back. It was like I was looking for something. So I kept going back into the dream of looking. Why was that? Maybe the big bird was after me, or one of these other things was. It wasn't any one thing. Maybe I'd made them all up into this great big one. One big, old something, mass-like. All night he wrestled with an angel. He starts out running, but he can't get through, 'cause there's all this turmoil and violence at the bottom. This other one, You just can't get it back. Can't get the curtain back. Even when you got fingers, it'll kink. But when he's all he's got's the tips of his feathers, it'll knot up as soon as he tries. That's how it was. It's nothing but life. And the angel said, honey, if you want a blessing, you gotta still hold on. But that night, it just wouldn't go away. He knows what's wrong, but he ain't got the equipment. He's made to fly, not diddle with a drape. He was created to travel between heaven and earth. He was created to soar. But the more he tried with the curtain, the more went wrong. Oh, and all night Jacob held on. He was the wrong one to be there, to do it. But he knowed he had to do it, 'cause it was him or nobody. So he done it. A white horse come out, and the heaven opened. Later, inside, Flo has begun to scream, calling for Beulah. Beulah tends to her. Flo quietens, whispering to herself, drowses. We retire to the living room, leaving the door open. Quietly and intermittently, listening closely all the while, Flo babbles and hums on. Beulah continues. I felt so bad that day. I reckon I got to studying from the beginning of time, how all life got started. I had a sad feeling. Everything slowed way down, just like I was feeling a little while ago with all your questions, Jack. I just dropped my head this way. Beulah leans way over, her head between her knees, and for a moment her forehead almost touches the floor, but not so much to show me, to illustrate her thought, as from necessity. Her mood is so heavy today that the movement, so radical and yet unforced, seems to come from the center of her body, to volunteer, as if slowly the weight, the gravity, masters her, and she submits. As it draws her head down, she succumbs. She draws her head down. Not just from my questioning, that too, but from all Flo's trouble, and her own, Sadie's, Lorna's, Clyde's. Old Satan showed him the new Adam. I could see these depths with all this coiling, these streams of people. Beulah twists her hands into a spiral that rises slowly from the level of her chest over her head. Just depths out there, and I was looking down at these things coming from here, studying why we were put here, and what was the purpose of this, and such a flow of misery from such a beautiful place. Once it was paradise. He lost it. We started out in a straight line, and then it was a coiling, till it was one huge person, a face, and all these others, they were flowing like they was in vapor or water or some huge flowing thing. And now I wonder if I could still see it. I'm trying to see it now. That the Word of God is ignored. I can visualize it, but still, I can't get it with the depths like I saw it then. And I think I should try it. When all at once it's then, it'll trail from thought then. Something like I'm thinking, sad, slow like. Then it'll come from that. The picture will pop out like a dream. Ephesians, oh, because fear hath torment. You think of Eden and all that come from that, from two people. There was such a flow there then. Trouble didn't exist. Tears. Don't do it, Mammy. The devil transforms. Then it seemed like a dam broke, whirling and cutting its way through. Down, down. Into an angel of life, Flo cries. But Beulah's excitement increases, gaining momentum, headlong down from that moment. Down, down, she continues. Adam had dominion. Maybe that's why people don't want to believe in the Bible. They don't think that could possibly have happened. These scientists that watch the stars, I believe they'll report it. He lost it at the fall. Look away. Look away. Flo sings. And they rest not day or night. It'll be a small light first, like one they never saw. Little children. Then it'll get slowly bigger, nearer. Little children, it is the last time. Blessing and glory. Neither shall there be any more pain. Flo's right. This Jerusalem won't be found. It'll come from where it is. All eyes will see. Behold, the tabernacle of God. This is the rapture, Flo sings. That light will shine on the... Behold, Mammy, This new Jerusalem will take away the light of the sun, because it will pale. Again the long vowel, after the plosive, as period to the thought. Beulah's honed and whetted, pale, slicing through the air and searching into it, into the silence which closes after it. Oh, when I reach my home, I was sitting here like this. Beulah is bowed far over, her head in her hands, elbows on knees, eyes toward the floor. And then it come to me. It come upon me like, prepared as a bride. These people, when they first started out, there was a Russian Beulah raises her right hand suddenly with the swift word, Russian, and glides it steeply down along the sunshaft, slanting onto the linoleum from the top of the window. Out of the great tribulation. Down, down glides the hand, but her left receives it, cushions it at the bottom of the slide, breaks, nestles it, where thousands of tiny motes hang between sofa and recliner. If we are lost, we shall stand at the great white throne. Then there was a swirling, Beulah hisses, swirling, as she slips one hand from its nest in the other and revolves it, circling the nest, drawing the hand out, mill-like, swirling into the motion it describes. Till they took up the depths. That's what come to me. Finally, and at last, it was fixed. She points to a place between her knees. And their eyes were opened, and it was looking up at me. But yet, it was made up of all of them, all these bodies at last. They were fixed there. But it wasn't my idea. Oh no, not at all. I've thought about it. It come to me like, before I could get to it. They'd all make it up, because it was looking. It was already looking up at me. He come to Eve. But yet, I've been thinking about it a long time before it come to me. All the sorrow and all the tears that's come from two people making one mistake. Now Philo, he don't think that. He don't think Jesus come here and was born of the Virgin Mary. He wants to leave that out. He wants to put in that people are born again, as spirits or as animals, as plants even, according to how they live. He has life going on and on that way. You might have been an angel, or you might be one yet. You might be a dog, or a coon, or a fish next time. You might have been a shellfish way back there. Or up ahead, another person, a meaner person, or maybe a little better. I sense that Beulah's still turning these ideas over in her mind, with a certain fascination, even wonderment, and with a good deal more respect than she usually gives to Philo.